Team Career Mode. We are finally here after all the build-up. Part number 1 of this new Creator Team Career Mode in the game. You guys have been voting for a lot of the choices we're going to make at the start of this career. In the Part 0, I uploaded just about a week ago now, and so we're going to delve into that, create our team, and then start the journey of trying to get to the top of Formula 1. There's been so much anticipation for this game mode and this series, guys, so be sure to smash the like button if you're looking forward to it. Get subscribed if you're new around here, because I will be uploading this series every single day from now on. So if you're new, get subscribed for all that good stuff. Let's dive into it then and create our brand new team.
Okay, boss, Carl here. Let's get this team up and running. The first thing we need to do is register a team name and bring in some important partners. First, enter a team name.
So as was voted by you guys, our team name for this career mode series will be called Arava Archer Racing. A nice little touch and Easter egg there with the Archer name. Back to the Archer team for Motorsport Manager when they first started that game 4 years ago. Obviously that was a manager F1 game. This game mode now has a lot of manager aspects to it, so it's a nice little Easter egg there. And then of course the kind of plain and simple Arava Racing. Nice and professional, so that's going to be the name we're going to rock with.
Now, let's choose our primary sponsor for this season. Some sponsors offer a larger signing bonus up front. Some offer more weekly income. The better we perform, the more our level will go up as the team gains more acclaim. Doing this will increase the income from our sponsors.
The first thing we have to decide upon with this team is our main sponsor. Now, I got you guys to vote on the direction we should go in. So either a massive, large payout, a kind of, realistic sponsor goal, or a happy medium between the two. And that happy medium was the one that kind of paid off. So in line with that, we're going to have a look at all these sponsors and see what's what. So we've got the kind of easier ones on the left-hand side. So complete a full season right at the end, which is a very easy one. Finish 10th or better in the Constructors' Championship, or even 9th in the Championship. I feel like those ones are very difficult, because that could be a jump of, 10-15 points if you're unlucky. Having looked at the ones around it, we've got finish 8th in the Championship, as a team achieve 5 points finishes, which is quite demanding, because that's 5 different races you have to do well enough to get in the top 10. And remember, our car, well, I don't know for sure, but in theory should be one of the worst cars on the grid when we get to that portion, and we can look at the R&D tree. So having a look at the rest of the sponsors available, I think the Shark sponsorship, earning 5 championship points in a season, I think that's a pretty decent goal. We get $4.9 million, which is the 3rd highest payout we can get at the very start of this game. And the bonus goal is pretty achievable, I feel. I think if we get one lucky race where there's a safety car, maybe some rain, crashing, we could get 5 points in one entire race there and get that bonus on top of the 4.9 million we're going to get. So I think Shark is going to be the best bet in terms of that kind of blend between realism of a sponsorship goal, but also trying to get as high amount of money as we can to kick off the budget.
Our chassis won't be going anywhere fast without a power unit. So let's sign one of those now. Obviously, the better the performance and durability, the better. But be careful about spending all our cash. We're going to have people and facilities to invest in as well. Power unit suppliers will also provide upgrades throughout the season at no extra cost.
So the next very important thing to decide is the power unit. Now, I thought this was going to go one way, and you guys voted the completely other way. So, in my Part 0, I explained the logic of maybe going for a more powerful engine, because in history, in the last 2 years of the F1 games, engine power has meant a lot when it comes to career mode versus the AI. But you guys have voted, and you have voted to select the Honda power unit. To be fair, though, I'm not too disheartened by that, because I got tweeted by the actual Honda F1 account, because I tweeted out jokingly at my reaction to you guys voting for Honda, saying, give me strength. The actual Honda F1 account then tweeted me saying, giving me strength. So, we've got the actual official backing of Honda in Formula 1 for the F1 game. So, I'm not complaining. Mon the Honda, and let's go forward.
We're not much of a team without a second driver. Let's sign a teammate. Here are the drivers interested in joining our team. Look at their stats and pick someone you think can get us good results, as long as we can afford them. Oh, and we renew contracts every few races, so you'll have plenty of chances to sign someone else should the need arise.
So here we are then, the final decision, the teammate selection. We've got $2.6 million to spend on a teammate due to the fact the Honda power unit is actually the cheapest power unit available. So we can choose the top end from this selection. We've been given a random selection. I believe everyone gets a kind of random selection, so your choices might be different to mine and other creators might be different if you watch their videos. So having a look at it, I didn't want to go for Nick DeVries. I didn't want to spend 2 million of my 2.6 on a driver that, let's be real, I'd probably get rid of on the first chance I can, because this is the start of the career. You know, we're going to focus on the team, the facilities, and really not worry about having a good second driver until we actually have a car that can really score some good points. So I'm going to look at it as a case of what's the best bang for my buck teammate going here. So having a look at it, we've got a difference of down of 500,000 to then we've got Zoo, but then we've only got one rating lower for Mick Schumacher, and that's a difference of another further 500,000. So that 1 point less for Mick Schumacher makes a massive difference in comparison to from Zoo to DeVries. So I'm going to go for it. I'm going to go for Mick Schumacher. I think a lot of people might choose Mick Schumacher just because, of course, his name and the kind of prestige that comes with that. But I honestly think he's one of the best bang for your buck drivers here, at least in my selection that I've got. So I think we're going to just pay a cool 1 million. That means we've still got 1.6 million left over, so we can hopefully use that for facility. So we're going to go with it. We're going to be partnering Mick Schumacher in this first instance of our career mode.
Looks like we can afford this power unit supplier and teammate. Go ahead and confirm if you're happy. Let's select or edit the livery we'll be running this season. We can add more sponsors to the car as we sign them throughout the year. And don't worry, we can edit our look at any time from HQ.
So you've now done the main parts of our team. It's now time to go towards aesthetics with the livery design. We can't quite choose yet how the sponsors will be placed and look at this point in time. We'll have to wait a little bit longer into this episode to choose those. But the base livery we can choose right about now. We've got 5 basic liveries to choose from, and technically you can choose some of the Schumacher and F1 70th birthday anniversary liveries, but I'm not going to, of course. We've chosen a custom livery, and you guys have voted out to choose the white, black, and Brawn GP neon green and yellow paint scheme. So out of the 5 basic liveries we've got, we can get more as we play on and go through this game with the podium pass. If you haven't seen that, more liveries get unlocked as you play the game with the podium pass. I'm recording this video ahead of time, so the podium pass has not been unlocked for me, unfortunately, yet, but in the future it will be unlocked and I will be able to try and earn some XP to get some better liveries. But for now, we have to choose between these basic 5 liveries. I'm gonna kind of basically just choose one of these right now and wait until I can customize the sponsors and, you know, choose the colors and the placement of the sponsors, basically, because that will also kind of, you know, massively change how the livery looks. So for now, we'll just go with this second one along. A pretty nice pattern, but at the moment it's not really got any neon green on it, but that will come in a bit later down the line once we can actually customize the sponsors on it. So don't be worried about that, guys. There will be some neon green on that soon enough, but let's move forward then with the rest of the team building.
Now we need a badge for our team branding. Select an existing badge, edit it, or create one from scratch.
Now we come to the team badge then. So when it comes to creating your team badge, you can select a load of backgrounds that are different shapes. I personally didn't want to go for a background shape because the kind of logo emblem I had in mind didn't really suit any of the backgrounds personally for me. I'm going to go for this A, which has also got a lightning bolt in it, and you can change the color of the lightning bolt. So I thought it'd be quite nice to have the lightning bolts in that neon green and then go for the A, the rest of it in just white, as we've got it kind of going part and parcel with the car design we've got. You can change also the kind of style of each logo in terms of the shading, the 3D nature of it. So I've gone for that kind of very, very graphic 3D on the lightning bolt there. And you can see changing it to neon green, and we'll keep the A, the rest of it, in white. I think a very nice kind of hybrid of what we've got going on, like a nice snazzy electric bolt, and then obviously A for Arava or Archer as well.
Last but not least, we need to pick team colors for the rest of our branding. You'll see these colors throughout HQ.
And then finally going to swap over the team colors to neon green, black and white.
Great, that's everything we need. You can go back and edit anything we've done so far, and we'll come back here at the start of each season. But if you're ready to go, hit advance to head to Team HQ, and we can start our push to the top of Formula 1.
So the team foundations have been laid out and formed ahead of the car reveal and all that good stuff with the management of pre-season. Will Buxton's here to talk to us about the team first and foremost.
5, 4, 3.
Hello folks, and welcome to the HQ of Formula One's newest team. We've been invited backstage to gain an exclusive insight into what could be one of the most exciting entries in the sport for many years. Now, we've seen a number of new teams enter the sport over the last decade, amongst their number Manor, Caterham, HRT and of course Haas. And while some have proved to be successful, others have morphed into different teams and some have disappeared completely. What marks this team out though as being something different is that its owner is also its driver. There's a rich history of that in Formula 1 too. Sir Jack Brabham, John Surtees, Graham Hill and Bruce McLaren all drove their own cars in the sport, but it has become increasingly rare in recent years. What's very special about this team though is that while the team itself is new to Formula 1, so too
you'll see kind of updates in the car of when certain parts are made and whatnot, and then we come to the car reveal, and you're about to see the brand new snazzy car reveal on the pedestal, and the car looks very different to what I chose, because I did go in and I finally chose the kind of sponsor colouring, so I went with the actual first livery we were able to decide, which was the one that had way more neon green, because I feel like obviously you guys voted for the kind of Brawn GP look. At this stage, this is the best thing I think we could go for. Unfortunately, we have only these very 5 basic liveries, but once we get a much cooler livery, I'm going to go for that one, because I want it to not be a mimic of Brawn GP. I want it to kind of be an evolution of like this kind of slick black and white with some accents of neon green. But at this stage, out of the first 5, I thought this was the best looking, especially for the front of the car, and also crucially on board, this was the only livery that had a different coloured halo to the chassis. And that was important for me, just because I'm kind of, OCD like that. I just prefer to have 2 different colours of the halo and the chassis, just because I'm going to be looking at the T-cam for so long, because I didn't want the same. It's time to get into the actual racing. Let's go into practice, and it's time to go out for the very first time in our brand new Arava Archer Racing Formula 1 car.
Morning, boss. Jeff here. Thanks again for bringing me on board. You've found a lot of talented people for this team. I can't wait to see what we can accomplish. Our journey to the Constructors' Championship starts here today, and the car is ready to head out whenever you are.
Let's just drive out, and let's just kind of experience taking our own F1 car out onto the track for the very first time.
Okay, the track is green right now, so take a few laps to get the tyres up to temperature. Try and feel your way around.
So cool, and you know what, I'm glad we picked the livery with the 2 different colours for the halo and the chassis. I like that difference of the black halo on the white chassis body, and also the neon green sponsors there, shark on either side, looking lovely. To be fair, out on track, even though it's not the best livery in my opinion, it's still pretty decent I think in terms of custom livery, but definitely looking forward to those better ones that we can unlock with the podium pass. But since we already did so much admin stuff with all the creation of the team and the management at the very start of this episode, guys, we're just going to dive straight into it and not bore you with the details from practice and go straight towards Q1, our very first qualifying session with our brand new car and team. There it is, looking lovely. I love the fact it came up in the cutscene there. I don't know if that was on purpose or not, but here we are then, driving our car for the first time in anger in Q1. The sun's come down, it's qualifying time. It's that usual unfortunate sunset that gets in your eyes, but it's good to be back in the career mode world here, but especially so with our own car. This is just unreal, to be fair, that we've just got our own machinery. And to be fair, feeling wise, you can tell obviously it's a brand new car. It's one of the lower down cars. It doesn't have quite the same downforce as the kind of top 3 cars I was driving in some of the preview videos. But to be fair, high speed, actually very planted as you'll find most cars in this game. But you can see there, with the mistake I made on the first right lap, this car is very loose on the low speed. A lot of understeer, very shaky, so it was easy to make a mistake there. So the first one was just a bank collapse, so we now go for a second flyer. Already about 1.5 tenths up, though, in the first sector. So to be fair, I'm gaining time on top of the time I'll gain from just taking this last few corners correctly, because you can see no mistake there now through the left-hander, then through the right, getting up the gears and on the power as early as we can through the last corner. DRS open there. ERS obviously just on hot lap mode, locked onto that. So across the line, 1.5 gain there, and we go P16 just ahead of our teammate Mick Schumacher then. So both of us equally matched there, but we're now going to go for a third and final run. Checkered flag is out. We're 2.5 tenths up there, so the track's getting faster and faster as we go on through this section, as the sun comes down here in Melbourne, as we come through the last few corners. Hopefully not making any more mistakes, getting some more time there. 3 tenths up through the last 2 corners. Nice rotation through the left, then the right there. Get on the power as early as we can, getting some more time there. Nearly 5.5 tenths gain there. We've been flying on this last lap across the line. We were in P20 initially there, and we get ourselves up into P17 with our last flying lap there. So let's go.
Months of rumour and speculation all come to an end today, as we return to Melbourne for the opening race of what promises to be an enthralling season. Welcome along then to the Australian Grand Prix. Just south of Melbourne's downtown business centre is the one and only Albert Park circuit. 3.3 miles of public roads, closed for the weekend of course, make for a bumpy circuit with little undulation. There are 16 corners around the lake and a couple of good passing opportunities here as well, thanks in part to the DRS zones into turns 1, 3 and 13. Can Mercedes start with victory in their bid to win a 7th consecutive Constructors' title? Could Ferrari or Red Bull establish an advantage early on? And with 22 cars on the grid, how quickly can the new team find their footing? Well, it's great to be back, Anthony Davidson. We've got a lot to talk about this year.
That's right, Crofty. It felt like a long winter, but it's good to finally be back. I have to think the usual suspects will battle it out at the front, but there are always going to be some teething problems early on in the season, so whoever can keep on top of their issues will have the advantage today.
As I mentioned earlier, we're up to 11 teams this season, with a new entry run by, well, of all things, an owner-driver. That's something we haven't seen in this sport since Hector Aback over 4 decades ago. So how are they looking so far?
It's hard to imagine how a small operation like that could survive in the ruthless world of Formula One, and yet here they are, first ever race looking surprisingly strong. But there are no points for qualifying. Let's see how they fare in the Grand Prix proper.
Before we begin, let's take a quick look at the grid lineup for today's race. Sebastian Vettel will start on pole. Fantastic qualifying from the multiple world champion. And it's Charles Leclerc in P2. Considering the rest of the grid, we have Bottas, Hamilton, Max Verstappen and Albon, Norris, Sainz, Giovinazzi and Esteban Ocon, Raikkonen, Magnussen, Romain Grosjean and Stroll, Perez, the owner-driver, Pierre Gasly and Daniel Ricciardo. They've taken a grid penalty. Fiat, Schumacher, Latifi and George Russell ends our grid lineup. Now, it's almost time for lights out, so let's go down to the track.
So we actually moved up into PC. Red lights for the Australian Grand Prix, driving our own Formula 1 car. Fire lights are out and we're underway, and it's a good start for us compared to Lance Stroll, who bogs down quite a fair bit. Grosjean slow off the mark. Perez round the outside. It's 3 wide as the 2 Racing Points pinch him into turn 1. We're just taking a nice easy turn, trying to suss out where we can find some space here on the right or the left. We're going to try the left-hand side using overtake mode, trying to press through, but down the inside goes Pierre Gasly with a massive dive there. The Frenchman gets, I think, 4 cars in one go there, as he found a massive tunnel on the inside there on the right-hander. Meanwhile, we're still stuck in P16, just about navigate Sergio Perez on the left-hand side and narrowly missing his rear end, going full lock on the right-hand side, and he's actually a little bit slow here as we can get off the mark, press that overtake button, push ahead, squeeze him out very aggressively, and we're up into P15. Needs must, obviously lap 1. It's all fighting for themselves, and so we've got very opportunistic there with Perez being a little bit bit slow. Although remember, of course, little asterisks, these aren't the final car performances, so by the time you guys get your hands on it, there may be a patch to change the performances, and I'm sure there will be a patch later down the line in the coming weeks for a proper performance patch. So at the moment, I feel like the Racing Point cars are a little bit slower than they might be in real life, but obviously still just making the most of it there as Perez got caught up behind his teammate Lance Stroll, and obviously we made the most of it, obviously trying to find the room. But the biggest winner there was Pierre Gasly. He overtook like 5 cars in one corner in Sector 1 there. The AlphaTauri is now way up the order in like P10, I think that is. So that's what I kind of maybe should have done, but we got kind of boxed in on the inside. But now we have a look at Lance Stroll early doors, lap number 2, no DRS, remember, just trying to use the overtake button to good use there, and he's a little bit slow, but he kind of cuts us off a little bit on the exit of turns 1 and 2 and remains in P14. Probably could have picked a better racing line here, but still getting used to the car, moving it about, and definitely there's that lack of, you know, pinpointness that I was used to with the top cars in the preview videos of this game, whereas this kind of lacks that kind of sharpness. So kind of getting used to kind of when to brake, basically, especially with the heavy fuel as well. And you can see there high speed on the exit, the little wobble as well. It's not as secure as I want it to, but obviously as we play through this season and this entire career, we'll add downforce, add the chassis weight and whatnot, and we'll turn this car into a beast. But right now, we might be fighting for the wooden spoons of, you know, P15 and 14 here as we continue on trying to close up the Stroll. I feel like we've used an okay amount of overtake mode so far, about 84% there, so quite conservative really at the moment, but I want to try and use it a little bit more as we're now caught up in this train of Gasly, Giovinazzi, Stroll, and kind of pushing Stroll through these corners. We go for a half-hearted attempt on the overtake. Instead though, the Canadian himself then goes for the overtake on Giovinazzi there. So as I go around the outside, he goes to the inside, the Italian, and so now onto the next straight. DRS open for both of us, but will the Canadian get the pass on the Italian? Not quite. Alfa Romeo pretty okay in a straight line. Of course, remember, Gio's probably using his overtake mode to defend just as much as you can use it to overtake. So like we saw last year and again into this year's game, the AI improving in terms of how they defend and how aggressive they can be and how clever they will be. So, you know, traffic's going to be another issue once again in this year's game, especially in the kind of first part stage of this career mode where we can't fly past them with like a low drag setup or a very light car in a straight line. So at the moment, frustrated and trying to suss out where on earth we can try and pass Stroll. And to be fair, through these few corners, this right-hander, I really get a decent exit off here, and I'm going to use overtake mode straight away, squirting that on the exit curb, using it all the way down this stretch. Stroll goes defensive. We're going to try and dive around the outside. He gives us the room, and we go the long way around, skating across the curb on the left, and we're up into P14. So a very decent overtake there. Stroll loses a lot of time being pinched into the apex until he's got his teammate Perez for company there, but that took quite a few laps there, lap 5, to suss out, you know, that's the point I feel like where we're maybe the strongest, kind of the mid-speed corner, not low speed where the car doesn't have any kind of turn in with the understeer, and not high speed where the car's obviously lacking downforce compared to some of the other cars around it. So kind of a happy medium between the two, and allowed us to kind of use the traction we've got there. I guess maybe the traction question I answered at the very beginning of the episode, maybe that's kind of paid out dividends, because to be fair, the car does actually have some decent traction. It's just the fact that I can't actually get the oomph then off a straight line because everyone's obviously using overtake mode to good use. I'm sure the AI, I've said it before, the AI are going to be pin perfect at using overtake mode, and you can see there using a little bit mistakenly, a bit too early as we get the rear end stepping out. And now on the bottom right, you can see we're down to nearly single figures on the ERS. So lap 8, you know, we went from using it conservatively to using a little bit too much now. So now I'm going to try and save some ERS, because otherwise we'll be a little bit in danger. Not at the end, not just only at the end of this stint, but also later on the race. I need to make sure I've got enough for that second stint, as we're going to pit around lap 10. So we've got about 2 laps to go as we move on to lap number 9. But at this stage now, Giovinazzi pulling away a little bit, as my engineer tells me Giovinazzi's pulling some time, and Stroll is closing up to us somewhat. So we're kind of ebbing and flowing in this Grand Prix. At this stage, I don't really know exactly where we're going to be at the end of this race. P14 right now is pretty damn amazing, I would say, considering, you know, it's our own car from scratch where we qualified, but obviously we saw this second stint to go. And speaking of that, here we come now into the pits on lap number 10 for that one and only pit stop in this Grand Prix to a set of hard tyres. I'm still a little bit, you know, skeptical about this strategy. I don't really know why the one stop's recommended on both cases. You know, I feel like we maybe could have gone to medium tyres, but that's obviously everything you can say in hindsight. So, you know, we'll learn for next time maybe for Bahrain, and you know, we'll see how these hard tyres go. But in general, you guys know me, I generally hate the hard tyres. I love a good aggressive two-stop strategy, but it just may not be, you know, the right way to go here. So we'll have to see about that as we come out behind Latifi, the Williams car, who I think he's yet to pit in this Grand Prix because he's on a set of medium, so I think he's yet to pit. So hopefully we'll catch him up soon enough and pass him rather quickly. Otherwise, we may lose a little bit of time there. Teammate in the pit lane, Schumacher is in. Haven't seen too much of him. I believe he was caught up behind the two Racing Point cars we're fighting, of course, and also the other AlphaTauri of Fiat before the pit stops. Here we go for the move on Latifi there. DRS open, overtake mode also, and rich mix. But look at that, Sergio Perez unfortunately coming out ahead of us there. So the overcuts worked out for him, and the Racing Point clearly has the better pace in clean air, as Perez has used that to good use to get ahead of us. But we've got a good run here, and we're going to go for the dive on the inside. Perez locks up there. That allows us to have the room. We're now neck and neck, side by side, with the next left-hander the long way round, and we get the job done as Perez backs out that. So a very nice pass on the Racing Point car. But we're on the hard tyres, and he is on the mediums. He's got good pace here as he tries to overtake us. We defend successfully for now, lap 12. But this is what I mean. I feel like maybe we just were blindsided by the fact that we could have maybe done a soft to medium strategy, because clearly Perez thinks he can do that. And I'm not going to lie, at this stage now of the GP, this car feels like a very different one to the one we were just driving in stint 1. It feels really horrendous. There's no turning. The bite-in response on these tyres is so bad, so it just kind of backs up my point of I just never liked the hard tyres on this game, especially at a circuit like Albert Park. And now here comes Perez with DRS there, and even with overtake mode for me to try and defend, he's got that place, although he's a little bit slow. Bit of a snake there as we make some contact. We're going to use overtake mode to go around the outside now in sector 3, and we've made it through. We're going to be side by side through the last 2 corners. Maybe he's on the right, we're on the left, lock up again, and we're trying our best to stay on the left-hand side of him there, but he scrubs us off wide, and look at Stroll come through as he makes some contact there. So both Racing Points are really gunning for me now. We've not got DRS, I don't think. No, we don't. Just overtake mode. No one got DRS there for some reason. I think we were both awkwardly at the detection point at the same time, so no one got benefit of that. So on lap 14 then, we've lost that P15 position, and we might lose P16, as now Stroll has gone from the right to the left there. He's kind of trying to bully his way through. He's making some contact with us on the left-hand side twice there. Deja vu's. We were on the outside of a Racing Point car, that same corner, and for now, we live to fight for another day, but Stroll's really on the back of us now, and like I said, it's just getting from bad to worse. These tyres are horrendous, and look at the understeer there. So poor on that entry. Massive tank slapper, and Stroll's down the inside. It's a fantastic move for him, and now Fiat's got us there. We're getting swarmed by everyone. Maybe this is the true pace of our car now, as well. We're getting nearly overtaken by Fiat. We get him back though, but Stroll with a really nice overtake, to be fair to him there, kind of saw me have that little snake on the rear and just darted down the inside, very much like I did to Sergio Perez, if you remember, on the opening lap, I think it was, in that same place there. So fair play to him, but you know, we're now losing massive pace, and now you can see in clean air, clearly the Racing Point cars were always faster than me. It's just about that earlier on in the race, I was holding them up quite a fair treat. So in lap 15, we're losing pace with them, and we're comfortable in P17. It's going to be P16 now, as Raikkonen is out of the Grand Prix with an engine failure just in front of us there. So getting one free position in this Grand Prix. Only 21 runners in this race then, as now Fiat goes for a move on the left-hand side into the high-speed chicane. He gets it done even before we get to the apex there. Can we try anything on the exit? Little bit skirmish on the rear. Open DRS, overtake mode, rich mix going, even though we're in negative fuel now. And can we make the dive bomb down the inside? Slow it down? Yes, we can. What a move there on Fiat, but it's going to be short-lived, because on lap 17 then, he comes knocking yet again. And look at this, I squeezed him so much to the inside, but he keeps on coming and pretty much bullies me out of the corner and out of the position there. AI, so aggressive. I don't know if it was just that particular moment, or they're going to be that aggressive throughout the entire career mode. If they are, we've got to get really toughened up, because literally Fiat just bullied me out of the place there. I thought I'd done enough to squeeze him out, but he just got the elbows, forced me nearly off circuit there, and so we're down to P17, and instead, for the last 9 laps of this Grand Prix now, fighting Grosjean to just remain in P17. So we've definitely lost a lot of pace in this second stint compared to the first. I feel like if you've kind of noticed on the heads-up display, if you're kind of paying attention, I think a big factor is the fact that I actually maybe underestimated how kind of much fuel we actually needed. I kind of lowered it down to 1+ of fuel. In hindsight, maybe should have carried in 2 laps of fuel, because right now I'm on the edge. I'm going negative. I'm having to go into lean mixture, and like I kind of said, I should take my own advice. Like I said earlier in the episode, I think Rich Mix is so much more powerful now because we don't have that manual ERS. So every time I'm in lean mixture, I felt like the AI right on the back of me. And that was the case with Kvyat. I was in lean mixture when he overtook me. Even though I was trying some ERS mode, it just wasn't working out for us. And now Grosjean's attacking us. We're having to get the elbows out and basically do what Kvyat did to me and squeeze them out quite a fair bit on lap 24 there. So basically parking the absolute stadium on every single apex, trying to maintain this. But you can see it's also not just the fuel and the ERS though. It's just the fact that these tires were so bad, to be fair. Like you can see just how awkward I am mid-corner here, as now we can see Kvyat is actually retiring though. Oh, what a shame for him though. After having a great battle with him, fair play, he actually made a wonderful move on me, an aggressive move. He's out of the Grand Prix, so we get one more free position up into P16 then. So can we finish where we started this race in P16? We qualified P17 technically, but we started P16, so can we finish there? We've got 3 laps to go, including this one, as Grosjean comes knocking once again on the outside. There we go, toe-to-toe through the right-hander, squeeze him out, leave him some room there, but then take the racing line through the next right-hander. But he's going to be there for the next DRS straight, of course, and this corner, especially on these hard tyres, so awkward, having to go first gear, but then the rotation just puts me off there. The rear end steps out, Grosjean's down my inside through the last corner already, so he's squeezing right to the line, to the wall, to the grass there, trying to make his line very awkward. We now move back to the racing line, he brakes and tightens up his own corner. We switch back to the right hand side, get it around the outside to get back up into P16. So some wonderful battling here with Romain Grosjean, albeit for only P16, but it's got to be done. Got to try and get the most out of it and just kind of fight for pride at this stage, basically, where the car is, as we now move through to the last lap of the Grand Prix. Bit of an oversteer moment again on the exit. The leader has already finished. Charles Leclerc will win the Australian Grand Prix as Grosjean's round again, and this same corner we're going to squeeze him out and basically just not give him any room to work with there. Kind of take a leaf out of Dan Kvyat's book basically from that corner, and then we swing through the last few corners now of this last sector. Can we get P16? It's still not over. We've got little to no ERS left, some fuel to use. Grosjean trying around the outside again. We go defensive on the inside and keep that place, and that should be it hopefully, as long as we just don't go too wide in the last 2 corners. Easy does it. Try and slow down the car, don't get the rear end stepped out, and so we come through the final right-hander. We'll literally run out of fuel on the line, inch perfect to come home for P16 in our first ever race in the Arava Archer Racing Formula 1 car. My word, that was a lot of fighting for not a lot. Driver of the day, Pierre Gasly. I mean, his dive bomb was still probably the best move of the entire day, but that was a tough old race and a reality check, really, of how tough this challenge will be in the My Team career, really.
Well, what a drive that was to take the win for Ferrari today. Talk to me, Ants. What was it that set them apart from the competition today?
Well, this was a real team victory. They put together a solid strategy today that appeared well suited to the conditions out on track. The driver did everything that was expected of them in the moment to really execute the team's plan to perfection. A shining example of how F1 really is a team sport.
And here we are, a team that is no stranger to the podium, taking their place on top once again. A sublime race today and a stunning win for Ferrari.
So Leclerc wins it from Hamilton to Verstappen, and it will be a long old while till we join them on the top step of that podium, or even any step of that podium if today's race to go by. But to be fair, it's the very first 2020 My Team Career Mode, episode number 2 today. If you guys did miss the first episode and the opening one of this entire series on this brand new game, then be sure to go check that one out before you see this one that was uploaded earlier this morning. And in that one, we went through all the admin of setting up our brand new team, creating the livery, the team name, sponsor, power unit, everything. And then, of course, the first round, the Australian Grand Prix. But today, we're here for the Bahrain GP. But we do have some things to do at the very start of this episode regarding actual team management. But first of all, I want to show you guys this screen of Team Acclaim. I said it in the previous episode that Team Acclaim is very important this year's game. It's the overriding thing that will press forward yourself as a driver, but also the team as well, because with the more acclaim you have as a driver, that improves your overall team acclaim, and that is important because that will get you better sponsors, more money, and that will allow you to invest in the HQ and therefore get a better car obviously down the line. And you can see on the screen quite nicely the payout we got following the Australian Grand Prix. So now on through the calendar, and now it's time for that second race weekend. So here we are then, Bahrain, looking lovely as ever on this brand new game. We're going to go straight into Q1, and I think for this entire series, that will be the pattern of the way I kind of do these videos, guys. There's no really point showing you much of practice anymore because it's the kind of same thing that has been there for the last 2 years of the game. Nothing really new to show you or kind of interest to talk about. So we delve straight into Q1 then. Interesting times. I don't know how we're going to go around here. You know, question marks of how the car will go and then how I'll go. Historically, I will admit I've not been the quickest driver around Bahrain, but at the same time, as last year's game went on, I got quicker and quicker around Bahrain. So I've definitely gotten better at the circuit. So let's just see how the car performs. Obviously, it went pretty okay at Australia, but we lost a lot of time and pace in the race. But qualifying was pretty okay around Melbourne. So Q1, the first flying lap we do is only P19 here. Not too sure where our teammate Mick Schumacher is at this stage, but that was early days. It wasn't too quick, more of a banker lap really, and now we'll go for the second proper lap, try and gain some time there. About nearly 1.5 tenths already through only just the first 2-3 turns there. So decent amount of traction off the first sector, getting about 3 tenths on that second fly. But Schumacher is actually ahead of us right now by 1 place as we're now on our third and final flying lap. We're down in P19, Schumacher's P18, so right now he is out qualifying us here, which is a shock really, because I would have thought we would have had him. We had the complete measure of him around Albert Park, so here we come through the last corner then. We've gained a decent amount of time through that exit curve, a little bit wide, but nearly about 3 tenths gained on the third and final flyer across the line, and we will out qualify Mick Schumacher and crucially get up into P16, which
again then, at a circuit famous for its stunning visuals and thrilling battles for glory. Who will take the spotlight in the Bahrain Grand Prix today? There's no shortage of passing opportunities around the 3.36 miles of the Bahrain International Circuit, with the best at turn 1 of course, and then another soon into turn 4. 15 corners here, 6 to the left and 9 to the right, and we could see 1 or 2 flat spots into the tight left-hander of turn 10. And what would any Grand Prix weekend be without the one and only Anthony Davidson, alongside me as always, to talk you through the action.
Well, it was a really impressive lap in qualifying to get pole position, but are they going to be able to hold on to the lead into the first corner with so many quick starters around them? A couple of favourites for the win then, but who comes out on top doesn't really matter as long as they give us an entertaining show en route to the checkered flag. And we want to see fair fighting, of course, out there on the track. Let's hope the stewards don't have to get involved too much today.
Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting race. Valtteri Bottas lines up on pole position, and it's Lewis Hamilton alongside. Looking at the rest of today's grid, we have Vettel, Leclerc, Max Verstappen and Albon, Sainz, Ricciardo, Norris and Esteban Ocon, Stroll, Perez, Daniel Kvyat and Gasly, Giovinazzi, the owner driver, Kevin Magnussen and Kimi Raikkonen, Schumacher, Grosjean, Russell and Nicholas Latifi. That's it then, it's time to go racing as we head to trackside for today's race.
Better Grand Prix today. So here we go then. So 5 red lights for the second race of this season, the Bahrain Grand Prix under the floodlights. Fire lights are out and we're underway from P16. It's a good start compared to Pierre Gasly, who bogs down quite a fair bit here. So it seems like the pattern this year's game is that AI are a little bit more susceptible to bogging down potentially as Gasly goes for another massive dive into turn 1. We tried to follow him through, but he's re-overtaken us. There was some contact there for one of the Racing Point cars of Lance Stroll. Some carbon fibre definitely flew off there on the front wing. So we're up into P13, so following Gasly, who, like I said, did the same thing. He made a dive bomb again to the inside of a load of cars. We followed him through, and quite nicely that's worked out for us. So I think we should just kind of stick with what Gasly's been doing so far in this career mode, as we now try and maybe have a look around the outside of him there as Perez squeezes him out. We get on the curb very aggressively there, but we go toe-to-toe with the AlphaTauri car, who's also got the Honda power, of course, and we get down the inside and we'll get the job done. And we're up into P12 then, so very good start, a much better one to the one we had at Australia, and we made use of our good start for once and also just placed our car on the right kind of space, unlike Australia where we kind of got boxed off in Sector 1. So, yeah, decent stuff, but remember, obviously, Australia started off pretty relatively well, and then obviously got worse as we went on through the Grand Prix. So let's not get ahead of ourselves, but this has been a very good beginning of the Grand Prix. Let's now just settle in, settle down onto these soft tyres, and try and do the best job we can. Of course, we need to be aggressive and keep on going to make this two-stop work, because we've got cars ahead of us that are on medium tyres. So, you know, ideally, we want to try and overtake them if we want to make our strategy actually work out today. That's also a lot easier said than done. One of those cars is Sergio Perez, and like I mentioned previously, with the patch that I've had between episode 1 and 2 on this game, the racing points now are kind of a bit more faster and where they kind of should be on pace. So that's going to be quite a tough job. But as we get on through the first few laps of this Grand Prix then, looking back behind us, Mick Schumacher also doing a great job actually ahead of many cars, both Haas cars, both Williams, and also on the Alfa Romeos of, I think that's Kimi Räikkönen potentially. So Schumacher also doing quite well. So respectively, both us in our kind of respective packs are doing pretty decently. I'm on the kind of edge and end of the kind of top 10 pack, and Schumacher's leading the kind of bottom 6 there. So both of us doing quite well relative to kind of, you know, his pace to mine. I think that's where the car kind of is really. So looking decent. And actually, speaking of maybe not catching the Racing Point car, we are actually on the back of him. So, you know, the difference between the softs and the mediums may just be good enough around Bahrain to allow us to close up and overtake him. And to be fair, Perez is also getting held up a little bit in the turbulent air of Lando Norris, I think that is, in the McLaren, also on the softs. So if we can get Perez, we will be in a decent position where we're ahead of everyone on mediums. And into turn 1, we're going to make a massive dive down the inside there. Since that Perez was a little bit caught unaware, and we caught him napping side by side through turns 2, and we keep it through, and we're up into P11 of the Bahrain Grand Prix. We are, well, we're surely going to get a nosebleed at this stage. We're very, very high indeed. Obviously, though, it's such early days. Lap 6, you know, this is where in Australia everything was going well for us as well. Obviously, we're a little bit lower at Australia, but still, everything was feeling quite nice in the car, as it does right now. But I'm just wary, you know, I'm not sure how the mediums will cope and how the rest of the race will go. So let's not get ahead of ourselves. But as it stands, this has been a very great start. Opening 6 laps, P11 in. We're actually now pressurising Lando Norris a little bit in the McLaren. So let's just keep on going. So it's a combination of the car suiting the circuit as it stands right now in the heavy fuel. And also, to be fair, I felt really decent in the car. I actually didn't feel that awkwardness around Bahrain like I maybe did at the start of the F1 2019 game cycle. So definitely those improvements I made over the last game around this circuit have helped out there. But at the moment, it's a domination by the Mercedes guys. Like I said, the patch has improved the Mercedes performance. So they're now 1-2 as it stands. Bottas ahead of Lewis Hamilton, ahead of then Verstappen. There's Hamilton gets on the curb, and Hamilton spun it, and now Hamilton's AI is at a man. Oh my god! Oh, what a crash! Oh my words! What a spectacular crash for Lewis Hamilton, and he's out of the Bahrain Grand Prix. Look at him. He's absolutely been mullered by Alexander Albon. What an incident. That is absolutely insane. That is going to be the craziest natural AI mistake and an incident I've ever seen on any F1 game. That was unbelievable. Hamilton got on the curb, I think that was, on that same curb that as a player, if you touch that curb, you're spun round. And that's exactly what his AI did. He made a mistake, got on the curb, maybe with the tyre wear, he went a little bit too into the corner, and he couldn't catch it. He tried to catch the tank slapper. He span round, and then Albon came in a little bit too hot and T-boned him, and what a spectacular crash that was. Hamilton went airborne, lost the front left tyre, and he's out the Grand Prix. And you can see here, under the virtual safety car, I have hit with Lando Norris, and we've actually overtaken Lando in the pit lane. Our team have done a massive job. Well done, Arab Archer Racing. Great pit stop there. We were faster than McLaren on the pit stop, and we've been able to jump Lando Norris in the pit lane, as well as making a quote-unquote free pit stop under the virtual safety car as it ends now. So literally the entire time in the pit lane, we're under virtual safety car. If you remember, of course, everyone has to go at this same delta, slower time pace. So in theory, anyone pitting gains an advantage, and we've gained a full advantage there as we came out and it went green after we exited the pit lane. But let's have a look then at this onboard from Hamilton and see what actually went on. And like I suspected, yep, he hits that curb. That is so easy to do as a player, but it's amazing to see an AI make a similar mistake to a player, and then, you know, he tries to catch it. You know, he went left into the spin, but then it kind of snapped on him quite aggressively. And then Albon here, just very bad timing, but what a spectacular crash. 2 episodes in, the second race, and we've already seen the vast improvements from the AI. Like, we know from this game, we've been told by Codemasters that this is one of the things that they try to improve the AI in this year's game, is that they will sometimes occasionally make those more natural player-like mistakes, and you will get incidents like that that are a little bit more realistic to what you would see with players, basically. So that was amazing, and the shunt alone with Albin was quite spectacular as well. So awesome. So early days in this career mode in this game, and we've already seen some amazing action as we easily overtake now Nicholas Latifi there in a straight line. Obviously, he's in the Williams car. He's kind of out of sync of this Grand Prix. He's yet to pit in this race. Of course, we've made that one free pit stop under the virtual safety car, as did this man, Alexander Albin. So it was Albin, myself, and Norris that came into the pit lane. Of course, Albin had to come in anyway to change his front wing, but me and Norris dived in to make a free pit stop work, and it's paid out. Well, it is paying out for me, I feel, because we're already up into P15. We'll be P40 now as Russell gets very aggressively overtaken around the outside by Albin in the last corner. We now use Albin as a bit of a tow to pull ourselves on, and can we even try a little pass maybe on Albin? We go around the outside. He's a little bit slow, you know, the Red Bull, so maybe sustain some damage with that crash here with Hamilton's. We go side by side with the Thai Brit driver there. He's on the right hand side, use ERS, and we're going to use the overtake mode with DRS as well on the left hand side. Can we go the long way around? It'll be very tricky though, to be fair, versus the Red Bull car, but we're still neck and neck. It's a fantastic battle with the Red Bull racing car so early on in our career here, but we try our best. Unfortunately, it's not enough, and eventually that Red Bull will have the pace to get us in the corner. And to be fair, what I've noticed already very early on in this game is that if you can get side by side with an AI, even AI on AI battles, they're a lot kind of, you know, you can get caught up in a battle very easy, but as soon as you get in clean air, the AI are straight on it and they'll pull away. As you can see, clearly, I was so close to Albin, but as soon as he got in that clean air now and pushed me away, he just waltzed off in the distance. So, you know, I can fight quite well. I feel like my racecraft's pretty good to, you know, hold up AI and try and battle them, but as soon as they get you and they get that clean air, they will not hesitate to just pull away from you. So that's going to be the real difficult thing in this year's game until we get a better car that can obviously keep up with them in a straight line and whatnot, and, you know, keep up in the corners. We're just going to get minced every time we get overtaken, and we can't keep it side by side with them. But the thing is, just like last year, and even more so now in this year's game, when the AI battle each other and they're side by side and they hold each other up, that can be very powerful. As you can literally see before your eyes there on lap 11, I caught up back to Albin in one single lap because he's getting held up here by Magnussen up ahead, and now we're basically right where we were before, and ahead of Magnussen is also Mick Schumacher, our teammate, on that one stop. He started on the medium tires, Schumacher did, and he's going for the one stop mediums to hards. So this is crucial. If I can get to the point where I'm overtaking Schumacher, I'm basically equalizing my two stop because we've both got one stop to make. So as we watch on Schumacher versus Magnussen side by side, these two cars ahead of myself and Albon on a different strategy to me and Albon, both of us looking to get past them on a two stop here, and instead we're going to catch Albon napping here as he gets caught up behind Schumacher. So using our teammate to good use, playing a bit of Formula 1 chess there, and we get round the outside of Albon. So we just overtook a Red Bull racing car. So like I said, when you get caught up in a battle, you can really go for it and you can play quite clever and get the job done. It's just when you're getting some clean air, it's a lot more difficult. And so now we use Schumacher as a tow around the outside, pounce round a little bit cautious into that turn because I wasn't too sure how close Schumacher's front wing was, but we got the job done. Thank you, teammate. And so we're back up into P11 now of this Grand Prix, but this is fantastic news. This was the only worry for me with the two stop, was that we're going to lose so much time with that extra pit stop. But one, we have the free pit stop under virtual safety car, and two, our pace has been actually very good on the softer compound compared to what we would have had if we went to hard tires, for example. And so we've already overtaken our teammate and we've both got one stop left. So we're on course for a very good strategy, I think. We could do some really good work here as we're now up into P10 as we overtake Magnussen. Remember though, we've still got one more pit stop. I'm also not too sure what everyone else is doing. You know, we've got Raikkonen, Gasly ahead of us. I don't really know where they're going to filter out, how everything's going to go, what's the tyre we're going to be like at the end of this medium stint, what's the hard tyre going to perform like. So let's not get ahead of ourselves, but at the moment it's looking very good. And I must say, I do have a bit of a nosebleed because we're up in P5 now of the Bahrain Grand Prix, but we've got Ricciardo and Albon right behind me. Ricciardo's looking pretty damn quick. He's overtaken Albon, and that Renault, I think it's seen a bit of an improvement with the patch from episode 1 to 2 because it's looking pretty punchy as we move through on down to the end of lap 15 to lap 16. A little bit slow through the last one. I took way too much curb on the entry, and Ricciardo's going to come through, but I'm going to let him through on purpose, use no ERS, standard fuel mixture, because let's remember, yeah, we're up in P5, but I'm not fighting Renault. I'm not fighting Red Bull. I shouldn't be fighting them. So my theory was there's no point fighting these two, because I'm going to lose too much time on my own race if I fight them too much. Yes, I overtook Albon. That's because he got held up by my teammate. So letting them through is going to be the best bet, because I can try and get some DRS off them, try and keep up with them somewhat. And you can see, again, this is the kind of, theory of you give them clean air, they'll pull away, because on lap 17 onto 18, they start to already pull a second on me. I've only just about got DRS off Albon. He comes in for his second pit stop. My pit stop window opens, so now we push as hard as we can with the DRS on lap 18 and come in for that second stop. But I feel like we would have been way further back if we had fought Ricciardo and Albon too much there. So, you guys may think that I've let that off a little bit easy, but I think we've played the clever strategy there of letting them do their thing. And like in real life sometimes, you just got to do your own race and not get held up in someone else's race, which I don't feel like we're in the same race as Ricciardo and Albon. I think we're still fighting the guys behind us, which does include, to be fair, Ricciardo's teammate Ocon, I think. And also, I think potentially the McLarens of Norris and perhaps Sainz as well. So we'll see about that as we come out the pit lane then behind the two Alfa Romeos, who are both on a one-stop, I think. You can see the Renault Ricciardo just comes out ahead of Albon there in P11, Albon P12, myself P13. Behind me is Sainz on a set of medium tyres, so he's on a two-stop. Schumacher then in P15 on the one-stop. So now it's a case of can myself, Albon, Ricciardo, Sainz behind me, Ocon as well, find a way through a load of one-stoppers, including the two Alphas. I think the Alpha Tauris as well of Gasly and Kvyat. So as we come through onto lap 19, 10 laps to go in this Grand Prix. We're in P13. Now is the time where we can get excited here, guys, because we're P13 and we're going to the end of this Grand Prix, and we've got two Alfa Romeos who in theory we should be able to pass. So we could be up into theory P11 the highest, maybe even more, you never know. So let's not get too excited, but I'm feeling good about this one. We're on a good strategy, the two-stop. A lot of people have done the two-stop, and the fact that we did a two-stop under the virtual safety car has paid out, because now we're closing up to Albon and onto the Alfa Romeo. We're going to make it 3 wide into turn 1, dive around the outside of Raikkonen there. He's still on the inside. It's literally neck and neck into turn 1. We're going to have to squeeze out the Iceman. Albon's got the job done, but we're up into P11 now, and we've got Kimi, but Ocon's coming thick and fast behind him in P13. Hopefully Raikkonen can hold him up somewhat, and we can try and use Albon as a bit of a tow. I say that, moving on to lap 21, you can see what happened earlier on the Grand Prix. Albon, I can't even see him barely. He's basically just gone off in the distance, but he's catching up to Giovinazzi. So again, he's going to get caught up behind the Italian, and we're going to hopefully close back up to maybe. And at the moment, Raikkonen behind me is doing a great job. He's still ahead of Ocon. So Ocon's being held up a treat. So everything's working out in our favour, as now Albon overtakes Giovinazzi very aggressively. I think Gio made a mistake there and locked up into the last turn. And so can we get a good run on the Italian? Use a bit of ERS there, but not too much. I want to save some for the end of the Grand Prix. Standard fuel mixture as well, because I'm not making the same mistake I made at Australia of running out of fuel and ERS overtake mode to use at the very end of the last few laps. So we're going to make sure we're conservative in that way, and so we're going to play the patient game with Giovinazzi. Wait till the DRS zone here in the middle sector, open DRS, bit of a squirt of the overtake button, rich mix engaged, and we'll close up on the Italian, the Alfa Romeo racing car. Around the outside we go, like we did on Schumacher. Very close stuff there on the left hand side, but a fantastic overtake on the softer compounder tyre, remember. And we're up into P10 now of the Grand Prix. It's actually worked out. Someone else ahead of us must have pit. So we are now in points-paying positions as it stands. With 7 laps to go, this strategy is looking like an absolute blinder. Of course, I will admit we got very lucky with the virtual safety car, but you've got to use that luck to our benefit here. So until lap 25, Ocon is coming at us at a rate of knots. We've not got any ERS to hardly use on the bottom right. There we go, defensive. He has a little look around the outside, but we're going to keep that through for now. But it's not just Ocon behind him. Look at that, the McLaren of Carlos Sainz is also coming at us potentially there. So there'll be a big old fight if we want to keep the points today. We go defensive. again into the second sector. A little bit too deep though. I can already sense Ocon's going to do the switchback move. He does. We're neck and neck. We're going to use the overtake mode just a little bit, but we've hardly got any ERS. We're on single figures there before we enter the next corner. We're going to harvest some energy, of course, every time we brake, but we've just basically just got a smidge to use every single straight. So we're going to have to very tactically use this and also pray a little bit that these two fight a lot, and our prayers might be answered, because here goes Sainz then on the right-hand side of your screen, round the outside of Ocon, then the Frenchman versus the Spaniard. Behind them, the two Alfa Romeos on 1 stops, but these two did a 2-stop with me, but of course these two did not pit under the virtual safety car. So if we're being honest, the only reason we're ahead of them was because of that virtual safety car, but we've made the most of it, because Lando Norris has not, because he's behind all these guys, so we've definitely made the most of it. But these guys are having an absolute ding-dong battle. Look at that! Sainz on the inside, Ocon on the outside. They've been fighting for the entire lap here of sectors 1 and 2, still at it. Sainz with DRS. Ocon, I think, has also got DRS off me as well, and the Spaniard shoots it to the inside. He's looking like the faster man out of the two, to be fair, and Sainz does get that, and he's up into P11 of this Bahrain Grand Prix. So now, might it be myself versus Carlos Sainz for our first points-paying position in Formula 1 with our brand new team in the My Team career mode. Lap 28, the second last lap of the Grand Prix. We go defensive. Again, still not too much ERS to use. We've got some fuel to burn, but it's right on the edge. Really fine margins, and we've got a massive bit of oversteer through into turn 2, and we just narrowly keep this ahead, but Sainz is all the time in the background, and onto Ocon. Look at that, Ocon going to the inside. Thankfully, those two going side by side right now in this corner will help me out quite a lot. As I look back behind me, that gave me a little bit of breathing room, but onto the last lap of the Grand Prix. Now, this is it. The gloves are off. Last lap of the Grand Prix, using all my ERS on overtake mode, but Sainz comes through. We squeeze him to the right-hand side to try and make his racing line tighter. We're on the outside. We're going to go for this switchback, but it doesn't work. Sainz blocks us off, but we get a good exit. Very aggressive on the curb. Use overtake mode, DRS, literally using every last bit of ERS mode I have here, and we've got to go for it. We're going to make a massive dive down the inside, slow the thing down, narrowly just missed making contact there, but a massive amount of oversteer on the exit though. It allows Sainz to keep it through, but we're going to shoot it for the second time. Just make the dive. We've got to do it. We've got to try everything we can to try and get this 1 point as the checkered flag falls. Charles Leclerc wins a second race in our My Team career mode season, but we're still neck and neck. Lando though has the advantage, and down the hill I break a little bit early, tried to get the cut in, but then the Ocon comes out of nowhere and taps me on the rear, and that may just be it. That little mistake of maybe trying to be a bit too clever, braking early to try and get a tighter line in, allowed Ocon to come in, and he definitely made contact with me on the inside there. And now you can see my tyres have gone off as the rear end steps out, and Sainz will get the last point-paying position. And very much keeping with the reality check we got last episode in the first race, we've got another massive one, and it's a reality check of how cruel and harsh this sport we all love is. This is Formula 1. Sometimes it's not a fairy tale, and it's not today, unfortunately. We are not going to get our first point. We come in P11, a very noble effort, and still a fantastic race that I'm very proud of, because that was an inspired 2-stop, really good stuff. Pitting on the virtual safety car really worked out. We get the driver of the day, so even Formula 1 thinks I did very, very well. But just in the end, a big what if, I don't know. Could we have got Sainz? Could we have kept it around the outside if I just didn't brake that little bit earlier? I don't know, because I also felt like I'm so poor into that left-hander that I could have just spewed off into the side, and then Ocon would have overtaken me. But like I said, here is a replay. Ocon literally tapped me on the inside, so if it wasn't for him, I might have got half a chance to get that tighter exit I wanted to get Sainz on that next DRS straight. But alas, it's not meant to be. I'm sure a few of you will be disappointed in me, but you know, I did try my hardest, but it's just not meant to be, and that is the harsh reality of F1 sometimes. So there we go, P11. We'll have to try next time, but that was a really, really entertaining Grand Prix.
That's it for another spectacular Grand Prix here in Bahrain, and a real champion's drive to take the win. What do you think it was, Ants, that gave them the edge over the competition today?
I'd say it was down once again to good, consistent driving, nailing the corners, working to the track conditions, and perfecting the team's strategies. They got all of these things right today, and the results speak for themselves.
Looking at the podium, you can see that red suit familiar to fans across the globe. A world-class win.
So 5 red lights for round number 3, our very first career mode race at the Vietnam Grand Prix. Fire lights are out and we're underway. It's a good getaway for us compared to the Haas cars. Once again, Grosjean bogs down. Schumacher has had a blistering start. He's overtaking 2 cars there. Raikkonen, we dive down the inside of all 3 of them there. I think Gasly, Raikkonen and Giovinazzi on my inside. They're a bit of a, oh, we've been tagged by Pierre Gasly. Surprise, surprise there. Once again in the F1 game, myself and Gasly come to wars. We've been pushed down to P19 now. We fight back, we ride the curve, a little bit of a cut there, and it extended the track. We're up into P17 on the inside of Raikkonen, but look at these guys pushing so hard at the start of Grand Prix. We use some overtake mode to try and counteract Raikkonen coming around our outside there, but for sure we were caught napping a little bit there because we didn't use enough overtake mode through the first 2 turns compared to everyone else, and also just Gasly tagging me for some reason on the rear end. I think it was him, caught me out. We were trying to go side by side with Schumacher. Instead, we're left kind of half spinning with the AlphaTauri tagging us. And speaking about the AlphaTauri, he's being attacked by Giovinazzi. Very aggressive. Nice to see there from the AI. Giovinazzi on the outside, Gasly on the inside. We're going to make a mega dive and try and force our way down the inside there. They've been caught napping, and to be fair, I could make the move. It wasn't like it was a massive dive bomb, really. It was just a very easy move to the inside there. They allowed me to have the room, and now on the exit, trying to squeeze out Giovinazzi. We're going to be neck and neck, but he leaves enough room and just backs out there as we enter the next right-hander, and so we're up into P15, I think that is. Yes, P15, and Schumacher is ahead of us in P14. So overall, a very good start for both our cars there. Like I said, Schumacher to turn 1 made a triple overtake, I think that was, and both Alphas, or all 3 Alphas, how you want to say, AlphaTauri and both the Alfa Romeo. So, he made a decent start. So this is very promising maybe, and is giving me some Bahrain vibes as Schumacher is now pressurizing Stroll and trying to overtake one of the Racing Point cars. So very, very good stuff to see that Schumacher's also got the confidence in the car to attack. So, the aero, chassis and engine upgrades clearly working because Schumacher is looking a lot more punchier than he was maybe in the first 2 episodes for sure. But obviously, as much as that's good to see, I want to try and get past him if we can. So as we enter now towards the last sector, trying to find our groove. And to be fair, I feel like we've got a decent rhythm through here. This is the one part of the Vietnam Grand Prix I really gel with, and when you get it right, it is actually very satisfying. So we come through the left, then the right, and then it'll be that final or second last left-hander before the final corner. But getting decent time through this sector, pressurizing Schumacher already there. He's obviously on a set of fresh softs as well, like us, so he's not really got tyre wear to deal with, but I just feel like we're obviously the faster driver compared to Mick if you look at the last 2 episodes and the first 2 rounds. So into turn 1 now, really part of the pressure. He locks up and goes very slow on the exit. We tap him twice there as he blocks us off, and you can see the mistake he made. He wobbled mid-corner, so he kind of pushed past him very aggressively there. Didn't mean to be that aggressive with him, I'm going to be honest, but I just didn't really kind of foresee him brake checking me after locking up into turn 1. So Schumacher making a mistake there, feeling the pressure, and we're up into P14 then. And so now we close up to Lance Stroll through that right and then left, winding through this very, impatient left-hander for me at least. I always want to try and get on the power earlier, but you have to be very calm and try and get the exit as best you can, because the exit you get off that corner is going to be so important through this entire back straight as we open DRS as well, using some overtake mode, trying to go to the left, forcing our way through. Bit of contact made there, but Stroll tried to force us to the outside. We're not having any of it. We want the inside line. We get the job done, down to neutral even to try and slow down the car as I'm trying to really get the car to the apex there in a kind of hurry, and we're up into P13 then, so some good progress. And now lap 6, we're caught up behind Danke Fiat in the second AlphaTauri, and ahead of him the likes of Lando Norris, and I believe that's the Renault, I think, of Daniel Ricciardo or Ocon there, one of the Renaults. And so looking decent at the moment, pressurizing AlphaTauri. To be fair, on the R&D chart, if you were eagle-eyed at the start of the episode, Alfa Romeo and AlphaTauri, they're just a tiny bit ahead of us on paper, but not that much. So in theory, we should be able to attack Fiat. Norris and the Renault, maybe not so much, but we'll see. Right now, it looks like they're struggling a little bit because Fiat is right on the back of them. So if Kvyat can attack them, I think we can as well. So going towards the hairpin, then having a look at this fight, and you've got Norris trying to overtake the Renault, but also Kvyat trying to get a mix in there. He looks on the left, it's very close to the wall, makes contact with Norris, and he's now susceptible to us as we go round the outside of Kvyat. Norris versus Ricciardo up ahead of us there on the exit. We're side by side, just about used overtake mode. Look at the exit we've got with the ERS down the inside, and we'll get the job done and squeeze out the Russian. And we're up into now P12, I think it is ahead of us. A great battle between Ricciardo and Norris, and Ricciardo's overtaken by the McLaren as Kvyat tries to come back at us, to be fair. So he's got some decent some speed and confidence there as he had a look around the outside, but to no end. And so we're up into P12, like I mentioned, and we could get P11. I think Norris looks strong, but Ricciardo here, he looks quite slow. Through the last corner, look how slow he is through that apex, even though I understeer and hit the wall a little bit, and no damage on the front wing as I check on the bottom right. But Ricciardo does look slow. We can't do anything to turn one, even with DRS, but I reckon into the right to left chicane before that very awkward long left-hander to the back straight, I reckon we could try and attack Ricciardo through there. So wind through the left and right, grazing the curb on the left and not trying to hit the wall on the right. Open DRS, not going to use overtake mode, you're going to save that, just going to use the DRS to help us gain a little bit. Going to stay in standard mixture as well to just give us a good fighting chance on the exit if we can't get it done here. But look at this, nice switch, really perfect apex there, and on the inside he's hit tyre wear for sure. Ricciardo, I think he may have started on a used set of soft tyres compared to my kind of fresh set, and we've made a very easy pass up into P10 of the Vietnam Grand Prix. So we are literally where we were at Bahrain. We could maybe get just 1 point, and once again we're fighting McLaren and Renault for that. It didn't work out for us obviously at Bahrain, but let's see as we come through the last corner. Then Norris comes in. We continue on for one more lap because that's our pit strategy, going 9 laps in this Grand Prix, but Norris tries to get an undercut, and to be honest, at the end here, look at the understeer we're getting. In hindsight, I should have come in on the same lap as Norris because the tyres really did go off the cliff very quickly on this set of soft tyres at Vietnam. I don't know what it was, just instantly in sector 3 they just went, and there was no front end gripping, so much so that Ricciardo closed back up to us in sector 3 even with his tyre wear. So we're now for that pit stop. You can see a load of cars coming across and overtaking us as we work up the order as we were one of the last people to make a pit stop. In now for this set of medium tyres, like I mentioned, as we kind of change around the strategy there, and now we're going to experience that very awkward pit lane exit for the second time now in this game. Obviously I did it once in the preview videos in the Mercedes car, but now this is a real racing scenario. Maybe some cars going to be around us. Let's see as we come through. There is the Williams car, so thankfully for us he wasn't any closer to us, so there's no awkwardness. But I'm just waiting for there to be a career mode season where we come out side by side with someone. That'll just be so awkward. But we're now out behind Russell, DRS open. We need to try and get past him as quickly as we can, but we're going to catch him at a very awkward point of the circuit here through this right-hander. He's so slow in this right and left that he holds up so much. We go first gear and we've lost, I'm convinced we've lost at least a good half a second, now a full second, as he wobbles on the exit. So again, an AI mistake, which is great to see, but not great for me being caught up behind it. So I'm adamant we lost a good second there behind Russell. Very annoying, just like we did with Latifi in Australia. But we're going to try and get past him on the right hand side. He goes defensive to the inside, no use for him as we open a DRS, use a bit of overtake mode, and we're going to cut across into the brake zone and get the job done on our fellow Brit. Up into P15 now. Norris though, look at the minimap, he's so far ahead of us. I mean, he's the next car along, but that's how much time we've lost to Lando now in that kind of undercut, overcut, and onto the traffic with the Williams car. But as we now go through the second phase of this Grand Prix, we're just going to go up the order basically as we go on through the laps. So we're up into P12 now on lap 11. Lap 12 on the 13 will gain one more position, so Raikkonen, so we're going to be up into P11. We've got a few different strategies. It looks like Ocon and Ricciardo are both on hard tyres going to a one-stop. I think the same for Sainz. Norris is on a 2-stop with us, as well as Giovinazzi then. So a bit of a mixture like it was the case at Bahrain. But as we now go through into lap 16, we are catching Ocon. Now, Ocon is going to the end of this Grand Prix on hard tyres, and we're catching him on a strategy that obviously my tyres should be wearing up more than his. And I'm going to be coming in theory, like, 5 laps time or so, and I'm catching him, which I found very weird and kind of promising in a way. I don't know, the Renault just doesn't seem that great around this circuit as well. We see that Albon and Vettel, they've both just come out ahead of us, and they're going to attack they're going to attack Ocon. So I'm hoping that these two, whilst they attack Ocon, they hold him up. As you can see, Ocon holds Vettel up, but as both these guys try and pounce on him, maybe we can catch Ocon napping and try and get the Renault, because he's already got a lack of pace compared to us. Like I said, with the tyre different, I don't know why he's being a little bit slower, but I don't know, the hard tyres might just be that horrendous around Vietnam like they were in Australia. And so therefore, again, kind of a good way that we've chosen the 2-stop. But as it stands right now, Vettel has overtaken Ocon, but Albon yet to do it. Ocon actually comes back at Vettel a little bit down on the right-hand side. Great little battle there, and decent start, to be fair, from the Frenchman to get the German. And now Albon is attacking Vettel, so Vettel is feeling the pressure. Albon round the outside, and now the Ferrari Red Bull are once again side by side, and they're battling each other rather than getting past the slower Renault car. So this is kind of playing into my hands, and eventually on lap 18 then, 10 laps to go in this Grand Prix, not too far away from our second pit stop. Ocon has been overtaken in the third sector, but we are gaining so much time. And look at this, how much time we're gaining. I don't know if it's just because he's just been overtaken, so, you know, his tyre, his internal carcass temperature might be a little bit off, and his tyres just might be overheated from battling the Red Bull too much, but he is just so slow on this lap here, and we are gaining, even though I'm feeling tyre wear, for sure I'm feeling it, because into every corner, I'm not feeling the same bite and response as I was on the previous few laps, but we've got the pace here. Now, as you can clearly see, in a straight line, trying to get Ocon to go for a textbook switchback, brake a little bit earlier, trying to get the car turned in, power on earlier, overtake mode as well, engaged on the exit, and we're going to get the job done by the time we get to the next right-hander, and we're up into P8 of this Grand Prix now, with 8 laps to go, and I'm going to be honest, the tyres feel fine. They feel, yes, worn out, but they don't feel absolutely horrendous going off the cliff like they were on the soft tyres, you know, around lap 9. So I'm thinking a little bit, why don't we just carry on? Because behind me now, Ricciardo is attacking Ocon. So this is now, I think, lap 22 or so. The two Renaults are battling. You've got Lance Stroll, I think that's right behind, or Sergio Perez, one of the racing points is behind them. There's another racing point behind that racing point, and then you've got Lando Norris's McLaren. So the man I was kind of quote-unquote trying to follow and fight, Norris, is there, quite a bit behind, and then there's a massive gap to him. So that massive gap is just where I'm going to be if I pit. So if I pit right now, I'll be in no man's land, ahead of this Alfa Romeo, I think, and basically just on my own. I may as well, I'm thinking, try my luck. It sounds a bit bonkers, but trying my luck on this one stop with a set of medium tyres. What have I got to lose? I'll either lose these positions and go behind Norris, or pit and be behind Norris anyway, so I may as well try it. And the fact that the two Renaults were fighting was helping me out. I say was, because now on lap 25 they've stopped fighting. We've got 3 laps to go in this Grand Prix, and Ocon now has a great run on us. We've not got too much ERS to use. We've used a little bit of overtake mode, but the Renault is going to breeze past us, be very aggressive whilst he does that, so clearly Ocon a little bit annoyed at the fact I overtook him in the first place, because he was very rude about getting past us, but I mean, it is what it is. And so he's up into P8, and I think that's maybe us done in terms of keeping P8 at least, because he waltzes off, and eventually now I feel like now his hard tyres, even though they don't seem that great around Vietnam, they're now faster than our mediums. And now you can see we've got Stroll attacking us. We just kind of blocked him off a little bit there. I kind of thought he was going to keep on attacking us, to be fair, so that's why. But we're now going to, well, this is on purpose, slowing down, because you saw that I went wide and very deep on purpose and let off the throttle, because I want to be behind him on the detection point, because I want to try and get him back with DRS. So a bit of a wily old fox move, quite risky, because I've got a lot of tyre wear, so that could have maybe not worked out, but you're about to see it does work out as we open DRS, overtake mode, rich mix, and we're going to try and just go around the outside, very close to the wall there. And also Ricciardo and Norris trying to get involved down the inside, slow the thing down just about, and we're back up into P9 of this Grand Prix. But for how much longer? Literally the very end of that lap, onto lap 27, 2 laps to go in this Grand Prix, very slow through the last corner, and there is Stroll coming, punching past with DRS there. We didn't use any overtake mode, he did, I'm pretty sure, and he's got past us, and to be fair, it was probably coming. And now there's the snap of oversteer, the tyre wear's really kicking in, and Ricciardo is going to push past us on the hard tyres. We give a good old fight, to be honest. I mean, I was very surprised we actually kept that through. So for now, we remain in P10, DRS open there, rich mix, not going to use overtake mode because I want to try and use it on the back straight, but Ricciardo's already passed us. Norris tries it on the left-hand side. We go defensive against the McLaren driver. We will maintain P11, and we've got maybe half a chance, but it's not going to work out. If you thought I was going to cut onto the main straight and re-overtake Ricciardo, that did not happen. And into the last corner, or second last corner rather, very slow and a lot of understeer there, and Norris just powers past. Obviously not too surprised how quick Norris is, because he's on an actual 2-stop. And so we come through on the last lap, and you can see the tyre wear there is abysmal. So we're P12. So you know what? We gave it a good old chance. Like I said, though, we would have been P12 anyway, and I would have actually been a lot further back from Norris than I am now to him if we had made that second pit stop. So I'm going to count this as a pretty successful experiment of trying to do a one-stop. Maybe next season, with the tyre upgrades and such, we could make a one-stop work. If we stretch the stops even longer, and then if our car was kinder on the medium tyres. We can see a lot of tyre wear there. We're limping through, and we're going to just about finish ahead of Ganka Fiat there. The brief yellow flags help us out a little bit in the last sector, and so we'll be P12, so it's not as high as we finished at Bahrain, and it's not points again like it was at Bahrain, but you know what, we get a good old shot. And at Vietnam, I thought we were going to struggle a lot more, to be honest. So I'm pretty happy with our race today and proud of the experiment. And, you know, it nearly worked out. And like I said, next season, I think it could kind of work out if the car was just a little bit better in the corners and on the tyre wear. So all in all, we got the drive of the day, so can't complain about that. Actually, I'll very much take that.
It was a magnificent race and a drive right out of the top draw to take the win for Red Bull today. Talk to me, Ants. What was it that set them apart from the competition today?
Well, I know it's a bit of a boring answer, but the truth is they simply had the best speed package on the day, and a driver who knows how to take advantage of that. It doesn't matter how much time you spend poring over the stats and planning strategies if you can't keep the pace, and our winner today showed they could do both.
Red Bull are our winners today after showcasing some incredible driving. There's been a huge push from them lately to stay competitive with the other teams, and they're certainly proving themselves.
So Max Verstappen wins the Vietnam Grand Prix, and the two other podium runners are the two Mercedes cars. So finally, the kind of patch performances show out, and the two Mercs look stronger, but Verstappen wins out. First time we're going to race around the Zandvoort Dutch GP circuit in the F1 My Team career mode. Fire lights are out and we're underway, and it's a bit of a shaky start, really slow one compared to the ones we've had previously there. Raikkonen gets boxed off by Gasly, who sends it down the inside once again. Pierre Gasly's AI really is a good dive bomber on lap 1, I'm finding out here in this My Team career, as we've now gone around the outside of Raikkonen up into P17. Schumacher trying to follow us through behind me, I believe, just looking at the left-hand side mirror, as Ocon is having a nice scrap with Magnussen. He's going to get the better of the Dane, as we're now side by side being overtaken by Raikkonen, but we come back at him second phase of this sector. Bit of argy-bargy there, bit of contact made on the right-hand side. Used a bit of overtake mode to try and stretch our legs a little bit. Still fighting us, though, as Kimi sends it to the inside, but he gets pinched out by us, and that allows Schumacher to come through. So a bit of nice teamwork there, in a way, as we now lead Schumacher. And up ahead of us, the two Alpha Tauris are side by side as Gasly fights Kvyat up ahead, and actually Schumacher has got a good run on the left-hand side of us there, defending to the inside. We should have that, yes we do, as he's unable to try and stretch it around the outside. As you can see, look at those grandstands, all filled with orange for Max Verstappen out ahead, trying to fight the two Mercedes cars and the Ferraris, but that's far away from the fight we're in with the Haas and the Renault maybe of Ocon up ahead. Can we get a good one on Magnussen? Yes we can. We grazed the wall a little bit. I don't think any damage came off that, but that was a little bit hairy there. Can't do that too often, as we now dive down the inside and get the job done on K-Mag, and we're now right up behind Ocon, but a bit of a snag of oversteer there on the exit. But Ocon looking a little bit slow, to say he's in a Renault, and the Renaults have looked actually pretty quick so far in this career mode. But we'll actually get a team radio very soon on lap 2, and that might tell us why.
Some information on Ocon. They're slowing down. It seems like there's some kind of problem with their car.
So Ocon has an issue with his car. He's slowing down, so we have a good chance maybe of trying to get him. But this is now, this kind of portion of the race, this is kind of giving you an example of why I think our car just isn't suiting this circuit. Or maybe I'm just not up to speed with this circuit. I've not done an amazing amount of laps around it, so maybe I've still got to find that rhythm and speed. But Ocon's got an issue with his car, yeah? So usually on the F1 game, when the engineer tells you the car ahead or a car on the grid has an issue, it's very easy to pass them. You usually breeze past them within half a lap if you're close to them. But you're about to see here, we close up a little bit, yes, on lap number 3. But we don't really hound him that much. And he's actually looking okay. He's hanging on the back of the McLaren, to be fair to him. But he's going to start falling away off the back of Norris in just a sec as we move on later onto lap number 4. And we're still not past him. So a whole lap and a half has gone by. And we're still not past Ocon, who still has the issue with his car, by the way. So that just tells you maybe the pace that, or the lack of pace that I have. And you can see a train is forming behind Ocon. And if it wasn't for me, I feel like this train wouldn't really be there, because I'm unable to get past him right now. Finally now, onto lap number 5, open DRS, go to the left-hand side, and we breeze past him in the straight line finally. But I say breeze, we have to do the job into the apex. He's still got his nose turned in, and we start to fight him on the exit. We get it done now, and we're up into P15. But that was a very telling sign of the Grand Prix that, for whatever reason, I just don't have much pace. Now, I have a theory watching back this Grand Prix. Of course, I do these commentaries after I've done the race. So I have a theory that when I grazed that wall trying to overtake Magnussen, I think there was a tiny bit of damage. Even if it wasn't cosmetic and didn't show up on the heads-up display, I think there was a little bit of front wing damage, and that's why I'm facing so much understeer or just not feeling great. And this is an example of why I think that, because on lap 7 here, so much understeer through the left-hander, albeit I had the same sort of understeer at Shanghai without any damage on my car, but Ocon was able to dive down the inside. We have to go very defensive here and really fight tooth and nail just for P15, and we're nowhere near anyone. Like, look at the minimap, no one is near us. More understeer on lap number 8, and we're nearly off circuit now, and just finding it so awkward. And I find it hard to believe that this was just the car and the circuit, or like my driving and me not used to Zandvoort. I feel like there was some damage on the car that was really hindering the front end being turned in, especially at that corner and that section of the track. And again, we go very defensive and defend against Ocon for P15. Magnussen tucked up behind him, and sooner rather than later, you're going to start seeing pit stops now for the first guys on soft tyres. So that will be the real indication of, you know, where we're at, and it's pretty much going to be nowhere. Like, I think a lot of people ahead of us, even the midfield guys, are going to pit, and they're going to be, some of them might be ahead of us, having made a first pit stop, basically, which is very bad news for us, basically. And I guess we're going to find out about that right about now on lap number 12, and we're in P15 for now, but you can see on the mini-map, and McLaren Racing Point in, Renault in of Ricciardo, and we're going to go around the outside, and we're going to use some overtake mode on the exit, squirt that through, very close, and it's actually a really nice overtake, to be fair, nice little bit of overtaking maneuver. But, you know, Ricciardo, i.e. the teammate of the man I'm just about keeping behind, has made a pit stop, and he's only just about been overtaken by us. Like, if I was maybe like, you know, half a second later to that apex, he would have been fully ahead of us and kept ahead of us. Now my teammate's in, Schumacher's in on lap number 13, and our pace is not getting any better. So I really do think, looking back at this footage, I think we have some damage that I just don't know about. But at the time, I just thought, oh my god, I'm just driving horrendously. The car is feeling horrendous. But look at the understeer we've got here. And so now the McLaren of Sainz, I think that is, has a great run off that exit on hard tyres, I may say. And he's going to dive it around the outside, and he gets a great move made. We're going to keep it going. So the move's not finished yet. We're going to fight him as much as we can, side by side, all whilst holding up the two Renault cars, the Haas behind, the Racing Point, Sainz Runner outside. We're now neck and neck through the banked corner, the new part of the circuit, but again, we tap the wall, and now for sure, I think we've got damage on the front left tyre as we squeeze out Sainz, because as we enter turn 1, you're about to see on the replay camera here, on the offboard shot, there it is, damage on the front left. Now, that wasn't there. Reviewing footage from this race, that damage wasn't visually there before I hit the wall just then. So if I didn't have damage before, I definitely have damage now, but I really don't know why. For some reason, the game is not telling me on the heads-up display that I've got damage. It didn't pop up. Usually when you get damage, the heads-up display like actually actively pops up, even without you having to flick onto it to kind of show you you've got damage here on your front wing. But I had no idea at the time before, but now for sure I have damage. So now it's struggle town, because I've still got maybe 3 laps left to go in this stint till I make my pit stop. I probably in hindsight should have hit earlier, but at this stage I did not know I had damage either still. Like, I'm fully going to put my hands up, because you see there, I have not opened up my heads-up display. I have not opened up that part of the heads-up display that says you know, what damage you've got on your front wing. And like I said, the game did not pop it up. And I can only tell you that I've got damage now, having obviously reviewed the footage and showing you the replay cameras, you know, in the editing. But at the time, in the cockpit, at this stage of the GP, I was still completely oblivious. So right now we're being attacked by the Racing Point, the other, well, no, not the other McLaren, the McLaren I fought off before of Carlos Sainz, but the Racing Point's got us. We're being minced down the inside by Carlos Sainz, and this entire time I'm just thinking, are these tyres going off? What on earth's going on here? I had a maybe there was some damage, but I wasn't sure, and we still had some okay pace here and there around the circuit as we now go defensive against Grosjean, which is our rival in the season, remember, for the team acclaim. So this is very important that we try and battle them as hard as we can. But Stroll's around the outside, so I've just been done by 2 cars, maybe a third if I can't get Grosjean back. We do get him. We send one to the inside there, and now it's going to be 3 wide between myself, the Haas, and the AlphaTauri of Gasly, I think that is. It's going to continue to be 3 wide. Look through this entire section. Fantastic shots there. Down the crest, up it again. Bit of contact made with Gasly. Now the understeer kicks in, so it's all kicking off, but great action to be fair. We've not had much to shout about in this Grand Prix so far, so this is at least something. A nice little bit of battling with the Haas and AlphaTauri, but it's all going to be to no end basically, because I'm gonna make the pit stop, I'm gonna change the front wing, and we're gonna be absolutely nowhere. Even in comparison to like my teammate Schumacher, we're gonna be nowhere because we're in for our pit stop, and this was the first time I really confirmed in the cockpit I had damage, because to my surprise I came into the pit box and thought, hang on, why are they changing my front wing? Why is my front wing being changed? Yeah, it's because I didn't know. I didn't know we had to change the front wing, and that was the first time I fully confirmed it for myself in the race whilst I was driving, that, oh, I had damage that entire time on that first stint. So, yeah, a massive crash down to reality for us this race compared to China. We're in last place now. And, well, the only thing left to do in this Grand Prix is try and push as hard as we can and catch back up to the 2 Williams cars, overtake them, which I'm sure we can do, and then kind of hope that maybe there's some retirements, maybe a safety car. You never know, never say no in Formula 1, so we carry on as determined as ever, and we catch up to Latifi. But, yeah, our race has really gone down the toilet in terms of getting anywhere near the points-paying positions, at least. Like I said, we'll try and still push on in this race. Lap 24, so 12 laps to go. Trying to go around the outside of Latifi there. Backing out of that, though, but I did want to, I really did want to try and make a move on the outside at the banking, just for the sake of, you know, saying I've done a nice overtake on the outside at that part of the circuit, but it proved a lot more difficult than I thought there with Latifi. And now we're pushing on to try and catch up to George Russell. We've got retirement, though. On the top left, you can see Vettel has retired out of this Grand Prix. So, once again, just like last episode, Vettel's been dealt a little bit of a blow there. This time, I wasn't involved at all with it. But lap 28, and only now do I set my personal best lap time on a set of hard tyres that have gone a fair few laps. So you can see the pace, how bad the pace was basically in stint 1, that I've set my PB on a set of hard tyres that have gone a fair few laps already in this Grand Prix. But now we're catching up to George Russell, but as I catch him, we get blue flags as the race leader. Quite nicely, Verstappen is the one leading the race. He's down the inside, and he's going to overtake me. I think he's leading. He might be, or he's in second place. No, he's leading. So the Dutchman is leading the way at his home Grand Prix, so quite special for him. I'm sure the crowd are going absolutely wild for him, and absolutely mild for me and Russell battling. But we get Russell down the inside there on lap 30, 6 laps to go. And now it's all about just getting to the end of the Grand Prix and hoping maybe we get some more luck. We do, in terms of, there was some yellow flags. I believe Raikkonen is out this Grand Prix, so we're in P90 now as it stands. So Vettel and Raikkonen are the guys that are retired. But now you can see we get hit with more blue flags. So Leclerc and Bottas will be past us. So we've really, you know, this, like I said, this really is a reality check. We've gone from scoring points for the very first time to being lapped by most of the top guys here. So, you know, this is the ebb and flow of my team, I feel. We're going to have races like this, and apologies there, I actually misspoke. I spoke too early about the retirement from Kimi. That actually happened on the last lap, or my last lap of the Grand Prix, because of course I've been lapped, so I only have to do 35 laps of this absolutely horrendous Grand Prix. So I'm not going to lie, not a great taste in my mouth for the Dutch GP for the very first time in my team, but that's my own fault and the kind of car's fault. You know, one, the damage, and also two, even without the damage, I felt like our car didn't have a great pace. Schumacher didn't do too well on this Grand Prix, so we're going to come through and it's just going to be a Grand Prix to forget, really. But you're going to have races like that, and in a way, we kind of needed a reality check off last episode to kind of check our ego and not get ahead of ourselves too much. So across the line, it's a race to forget, but nonetheless, it's a race. I guess that's all I can say, really. 18th place, Schumacher beats us, and Grosjean also beats us, so that's going to be fairly annoying for us in terms of losing out to the rivalry for at least this Grand Prix, unfortunately.
It was a magnificent race and a drive right out of the top draw to take the win for Red Bull today. Talk to me, Ants. What was it that set them apart from the competition today?
Well, I know it's a bit of a boring answer, but the truth is they simply had the best speed package on the day, and a driver who knows how to take advantage of that. It doesn't matter how much time you spend poring over the stats and planning strategies if you can't keep the pace, and our winner today showed they could do both.
Red Bull are our winners today after showcasing some incredible driving. There's been a huge push from them lately to stay competitive with the other teams, and they're certainly proving themselves.
Yeah, there we have it. Very nice, to be fair, for Verstappen to win his home race.